Good evening, good night, good morning, and good afternoon, everyone. I think we have all the time zones here all around our beautiful planet. So good, whatever time is you're here right now attending this session. As you have guessed from our name of this session, we'll be today talking about the youth participation in politics. We're living in a changing times and interesting era where young people are getting more and more active. We're seeing the youth movements. In the last few years, we saw young people changing the political landscapes, coming out to defend their planet, defend their environment and their social rights. At the same time, we are seeing a decline in political participation and participation into institutional politics. So with this panel, we aim to discuss those challenges and problems the young people are facing and those brackets which don't allow young people to participate into formal politics, as well as find the best practices we have and good practices which allow young people and allow the higher engagement of young people into politics. And lastly, as well as we will be talking about the cross-continental insights, or as we are from all the continents, what is happening there, best practices and lessons learned, as well as by the end of the session we'll be talking more about the green understanding of youth engagement into politics, how we as the Greens see and why is this a value at all, and why do we dedicate so much time on discussing this issue. First of all, I would like to thank Green Forum and Global Young Greens for hosting this panel discussion, and Global Greens for initiating this conference. Before we go on, I would like to present our speakers for today, and I would like to now give floor to Sofa.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Georgi, for introducing this session. I am Sofa. I don't like to present myself as a speaker here because I don't represent youth structures anymore in any form, but I only for a year now, but I work with Green Forum, which is a Swedish political foundation, as a project manager for Eastern Europe, and one of the biggest pillars and values is the youth empowerment and youth engagement in politics and in party politics on the other hand as well. And I've been interested in young Greens and young Greens engagement in party politics for almost a decade now. I looked at this session mostly as a space for all of us to discuss, so not a traditional panel where we'll be listening to the speakers, but where we will contribute to the discussions, discover different patterns within the green movement across the world regarding youth participation in politics on the one hand and party politics on the other hand, and very much looking forward to uncovering patterns as well as differences, posing maybe common challenges and ways to overcome this on the one hand as young people, and on the other hand from the structural sense from the party politics side. And very, very looking forward to hearing out all of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, Cielo.
Thank you very much, Georgie. My name is Cielo Tasur from Africa, Kenya. I'm the national co-youth leader for the United Green Movement Political Party. It's a green political party in Kenya, has been in existence for the last 3 years now. We are one of the few new parties that are doing green politics in Kenya. And I am really interested to have this forum with like-minded people. I am pleased to see people from all over the world doing green politics and encouraging the whole world to go green. And I'm looking forward to a good forum. I have been a political young leader for the last 9 years. And yeah, I am interested in meeting all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we can move on with Janmajai.
Thanks, Ryoji. Hi, everyone. I'm Janmajai. I'm from India, and I'm a part of Uttarakhand Student Organization, which is a Young Greens organization in India. I'm currently working as the Secretary of Global Young Greens, and I have been associated with Global Young Greens for almost 6 years now in different capacities. I've also been associated with the Asia Pacific Young Greens Network, and I've been working at this regional level and this transnational level. I would like to thank Global Greens for giving this space to Young Greens, and also to the Swedish Green Forum for collaborating with Global Young Greens and having this kind of space where all the Young Greens from all over the world can come together, and we can brainstorm together why the Young Greens, specifically in party politics, the participation is decreasing, although we see a lot of Young Greens in activism, but in this sector, why the Young Greens are lacking. So really looking forward to this session and to meet you all. And yes, thank you.
Cool. Thank you. And Lillian.
Good evening, or good morning, good day, whatever, depending on where you are. I'm Lillian. I'm from Germany, and also from the German Young Greens and the German Green Party, currently living in Belgium, though. I have been involved with politics for more than 10 years now, and this as well in the youth wing as in the party structures. So I kind of know both sides, but especially knowing a young perspective breaking into these party structures, which is not even that, to maybe spoiler that easy, even though the party is kind of strong, or maybe just because of that, we will see tonight. Apart from this, I'm the treasurer of GYG at the moment, so the Global Young Greens already mentioned, and still spokesperson of the local Green Party branch, which is why I'm here in a kind of hotel, because we're having a parliament retreat. And if there's some kind of robotic things, just wave or something or tell me, because the Wi-Fi in this hotel is kind of interesting.
Thank you. And I am Georgi. I'm originally coming from Georgia and Georgian Young Greens. I'm currently network coordinator of CDN, which is a network of Young Greens from Eastern Europe. And my main interests are party politics and party structures and inter-party democracy. So good to see you all. And before we move on to the, let's say, official part of the session, let's quickly do something cool to get to know each other, maybe. So first of all, I would like you to, and I'm telling to participants, to everybody turn off cameras for a few seconds. And when I say the statement, and if it's true for you, turn on cameras. Clear? Perfect. Now let's start with this. I am wearing something blue. Everybody who's wearing something blue can turn on their cameras. I think I also count here. Quite a lot. Cool. The second statement, let's turn off cameras again. And the second statement is, the sun is shining and it is a daytime now, where I am right now. So where we have daytime, turn on your cameras. Cool. We see nice sunshines, but not many. I think more of us are in the evening time. So everyone who's where it is evening, night, or whatever, and we have moon in the sky instead of sun, turn on your cameras. Nice. And the last question of this kind. I am a member of Green Party in my country, or whatever, or wherever. So those people who are part of the Green Parties, turn on your camera. Perfect. Thank you very much. Now, the other thing before we move on with the official part. So I would like to ask you now to grab the closest item to you. Which would you use in campaigning? And let's make 1 minute for this. What would you use for campaigning? I'll use this thing. We have interesting materials here. Phone, face mask, book, pens. We also have energy drink, which is probably very usable. Perfect. Cool. From here, we can move on to the next part, and let's start the official part of today's discussion. And here I will have a few questions to you, and Zoom will allow us to answer them. So the first question, which would be followed by some action from your side, will be, and I would ask you, Sofa, could you turn on this poll? I don't see the option now. Perfect. So the first is I am, and you can choose, party or part of a youth structure within the party, party member not belonging to a Young Greens youth structure, just a youth activist, and maybe none of the above. And let's have 1 minute for this. You can vote if you're one of those. Please do not vote for other questions yet. Just vote for the first question. And as you vote, I would like to ask you one thing, which is to, again, rename yourself, but just easily. If you are from the youth structure of the party, just write Y in your name in the beginning. And if you're from the party, but not the youth structure, please write P as party. If you could do that. I hope all of you can rename yourselves. Interesting polling we have. Around 70% of those who voted are from the youth structure, 40% from the party, around 25% youth activists. So to repeat myself again, and I would like to ask you to rename yourself. And if you're from the youth structure or a youth movement, please write Y in the beginning of your name. And if you're from the party structure, write P. Okay. I see already people doing that.
Kindly requested that you come again. I didn't get that. You're from the youth what? Come again.
So if you're from the youth structure of the party, like Young Greens or whatever, just write Y in your name somewhere, preferably in the beginning. And if you're from the party member, but not a member of the youth structure, just write P in your name in the beginning or wherever. And while you do that, I see some of you voted already, and we can move on to the next question, which is young people's participation in party politics is on decline in my respective country. Let's wait some time to vote. By the way, do all of you see where to vote? There should be poll. Now I can see it. I see some of you voted for this, and I would like to ask you if anybody wants to speak who voted yes, that young people's participation in politics, participation in party politics is on decline. You can, yes, I see the hand. You can speak.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Yeah, so I voted yes, that youth participation in politics is on decline, simply because there are many legislations that have been put in place that makes it very hard for youth to participate. And then also within the existing parties, youths are given minimal responsibility. They are not involved in major party decisions, hence they are left out. You find also that within most parties don't have active youth leagues, and that also limits or doesn't give youths sufficient platform to, be active. Yeah, so that's my position.
Cool, thank you for your input. And now I would like to ask you one person who voted no, that the young people's participation in party politics is not on decline. You can raise hand again and speak. Those who said and think that the young people's participation in politics is not on decline. And we have quite some participants of our session who said like this. So if you could give us your thoughts and interesting opinion. Yes, Mike.
Yeah, so I live in California in the United States, although I'm in Mexico at the moment. And what we've seen since the Occupy movement and then the Bernie Sanders presidential campaigns is that the number of young people, including young people from communities of color, has actually increased in politics. But unfortunately, they've gone into the mainstream parties because there's such a blackout of the option for alternative parties in the United States. And now what's happening is they're all getting frustrated because they put their faith in the Democratic Party and the Democratic Party is failing them. So the question of whether they stay active or not is an interesting one.
Thank you. Thank you for your input. And from here, we can move on to the next question, which is, young people are not participating in politics because they are not interested in politics. You can vote on this, and then we can hear opinions again. So around 23% said yes, and 77% said no. So I think it would be interesting to hear the yes opinion in the first place. Those who think that young people are not participating because they are not interested in politics. So would be cool to elaborate on this position. You can raise hand and speak. Those who voted in a such way. I see no hands. Yeah, now I see. Yes, please.
Hello. First and foremost, my name is Kipngena Rono from United Green Movement here in Kenya. So I voted yes, and I want to say that few youths, a small percentage are actually interested, but majority are not interested because of so many factors, one of them being the rising youth unemployment index. So most of the youths are actually focused on, their studies, they're looking for a job. So you will find that few of them will have time to participate in politics simply because there are so many factors that are actually distracting them from being actively involved. So perhaps the only thing that can be done is if they are given enough platform, perhaps then they will play an active role so that it's not only limited to voting. Yes, that's my position.
Thank you for sharing. Yes, you can speak. Cynthia, if I'm saying the name correctly.
Yeah, hello, this is Cynthia talking to you from Uganda, East Africa. I'm a member of the Green Party in Uganda and also a founder of a nonprofit organization a local organization called Global Pathways to Success Uganda. I voted yes because there are very many challenges, speaking from my perception, coming from an African country, and more specifically Uganda, that young people are not active in politics because of, first of all, and the high rate of unemployment, that they won't have enough funding, to source them to do all these activities, reaching out to the communities for them to even participate in politics. Two, the ruling parties are always brutal. There's no freedom of speech. There's no freedom of, like, if you're just doing free, demonstrations, we get distracted by tear gas. There's no free spaces that allows young people to participate in politics. Yeah, those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing. Yes, we can hear one more opinion and we can move on to the next question. You can speak. I think Moses is the name. Yes.
So right, so I voted yes, but I'm an in-between them. I think there are two perspectives on this issue. My name is Moses. I am the national co-youth leader of the United Green Movement in Kenya. Number one, 2 points, no quick ones. Number one is that I think the young people want to be engaged in politics. They want to. There is a place in their hearts. They know that this is important for them. But number one is that they do not think that their voice counts. I mean, you talk to a lot of young people right now in Kenya. We've been having a 2 weeks period of youth voter registration, and we have seen there is a lot of apathy. And when you talk to a lot of young people, they tell you that at the end of the day, my vote does not make will not count. So that is one of the problems. But number two, and fundamentally, this is what I believe is a problem, especially in Africa, is that somebody talked about unemployment, poverty, and I think the young people, especially in Africa, are at a place whereby they're in a place of survival. I don't know if you've ever seen a person who is struggling to survive. You know, you don't think, for them, politics and issues of governance are secondary. The most important thing is, how do I put food on the table at the end of the day? I've got a sick mother. I've got a younger brother who's looking up to me. I've graduated from university. There is all this societal expectation, and these young people are at a place whereby they are surviving. So thinking about issues of politics, it is secondary to them. Do they want to? Yes. Do they have the time to? No. Why? Because the setting of the system is that the young people are in a place whereby they are surviving, and this is the issue that we're facing with our young people. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much for this input. And from here, we can move on to the next question, which goes like this: young people should have an age bar above 16 in order to participate in politics, and that voting age should be the same as contesting age. And I would like to just ask you to, again, but briefly, share your opinions and positions. Those who voted that they agree that young people should have an age bar above 16. If anybody feels like sharing their opinion. I see no hand. But this is not a problem. We could also hear the opinion who disagrees with this statement. Okay, I see. Yes, but with a very interesting name, to make utopia real, making utopia real.
Oh yeah, sorry. I think that it was what you wanted to write us in the caption, like in our name. But yeah, sorry for that. But making utopia real, it's a quite nice name, right? Yeah, I mean, my opinion is that I think that everybody who lives in a country should have the possibility to vote. I mean, it's including everybody, also people who are like 16, who are like 15, 12 or something. If you can make a decision, you should just do it and vote. And I think it's in Germany, it's a more important topic to talk about all the people who are coming to Germany and don't have the pass. And I really think that those people also have to have the possibility to vote. So yeah, I just think if you live somewhere, you should vote. It's your right.
Cool. Thank you. And yes, Joanna or Yano, are you raising your hand?
Me?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, floor is yours.
It's Joao. Sorry. Oh my God, I feel bad to say this. I feel really bad, and I don't know the age of the people that are following here. I'm young. I'm very young. I'm 20 years old. When I was 16 years old, I really fought to vote I like right now I'm in Belgium, but when I was 16, I was in Italy. In Italy, they have no right to vote. I don't know here. And I felt really badly to have rights to vote when I was 16. But now that I'm 20, I think, oh my God, thanks God I couldn't vote. Uh, so I know it's different in each place, that everyone is a different person, but personally, I'm happy that I couldn't vote when I was 16. So I don't know what to think about it.
Thank you. I see some more hands, but we are a bit short on time, so we could move on to the next question. And I hope you could give us your input this time. So the next question is: young people's energy and competence are most valuable in campaigns, direct actions, and activism. We have a quite large majority here who agrees with the mentioned statement. So I would like to ask those who disagree in the first place. Oh no, actually this is changing. The poll is not over. We could wait for 30 more seconds. So vote. The statement is as following: young people's energy and competence are most valuable in campaigns, direct actions, and activism. So please vote in the poll, and we can wait for around 30 seconds or 1 minute and then make a round. Okay, it seems numbers are not changing anymore. So interesting to hear those who disagree. Why you don't think that this is most valuable? Yes, I think I see one hand. Anyone feeling to speak who disagrees with this statement? To elaborate a bit on your position. Okay, I see one hand, but the floor is yours if you want to speak. Yes.
Okay. Actually, I agree with the statement. Yeah, so I want to state that with the statistics here in Kenya, youths are actually a majority. They form slightly above 50%. And therefore, you know, even all politicians, they know that we have strength in numbers, and you also play a very critical role when it comes to mobilization. So all actually the elderly politicians approach youths. Then because we are prone to manipulation simply because we have so many issues going on in our side. We have a few of us who are fighting. Then I would say that there is strength in our numbers. Only that going forward, we youths should actually come forward and also contest for all these elective positions. Yeah, it's so unfortunate that despite our numbers, we have few of us who are elected in office, and therefore, even in parliament, in National Assembly, Senate, County Assembly, actually few legislations are done in favor of us, the youths, because we have few of us who are elected. So that should change going forward. If we unite as youths, front some of us to fight for those elective positions, because there we will have, legislations that are going to help us going forward. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Kipner, if I'm saying the name correctly. We could hear one more opinion on this statement, and then we can continue with the session. Yes, Gavin. I think I'm saying name correctly.
Hello, Gavin. I apologize. I am far from young anymore. Yeah, I would sort of agree. I looked at the question first and thought, well, yeah. I mean, I guess as Green parties, all the Green parties, yeah, they benefit, and it's valuable that they use, if you like, the energy of the younger members, and the younger members keep us radical, and they help us, but it's not really just about that. And I think the last speaker was correct. I think our parliaments are lacking young people, and although it's true that the young people bring all this, maybe it possibly is more important that they're not just seen as people to be the ones out knocking on doors or making social media posts or that side, but they're the people who should be put up front as candidates, just for diversity of candidates, to get more diverse voices into parliaments, and because they're the future. And sorry for that. Bye.
Thank you very much for this input. Now yeah, we could end this part of our session, but we have one interesting comment. I could read that out. There is an issue. Eleanor writes from FIG, Federation of Young European Greens. There is an issue with the young people being tokenized in parties if they are relied on for campaigns actions, but are not consulted on policy matters, or expected to campaign for older candidates, but not able to stand themselves. Cool. Thank you for this comment and this input. And I think we could end our polling time here, and we can continue our discussion, but this time in breakout rooms. So we will have we will have 4 breakout rooms, but those 2 are going to be parallel breakout rooms. In the first, we will have, do you remember in the beginning of the session, we asked who is either from party or from youth wing or from youth movement, and to rename themselves. This is how we are going to use it now. One part of the breakout rooms will be for the young people, for the youth structures in the parties and youth activists, and the other part will be for party members and party representatives who are not in the youth structure. So this is why I would like to kindly again ask you to rename yourself, like some people have done this. I also, so before your name, you just write Y if you're from the youth structure, and P if you're from the party and not youth structure. And as you do that, we will assign you to the breakout rooms. And how these breakout rooms will be like, we have two different topics, which is challenges and which is incentives. And we will move from one group, from one breakout room to the other during this time. And yeah, I would like to ask you to Sophie could help with the breakout rooms, I think.
Yes, please bear with me because I'm assigning people manually. And please, if you belong to the youth structure, in the beginning of your Zoom handle, write letter Y. And that makes the job very, very much easier.
Yeah, so I got a nice question in the chat. How do you do that? It's so you just click, right click on where your window is in the Zoom. And there you will see several options. And by the end, it's rename. So just click, right click on your window. And you can rename yourself. If you can do that, you can also write me in the chat privately, and I could also change your name. It's also not a problem. And as we do that, it would take 1 or 2 minutes, and then we continue this discussion in our breakout rooms, and then we come back all together in. Thank you. I hope you had interesting and fruitful discussions in the breakout rooms, and we can quickly go through them and kind of present them, and also try to summarize our discussion with this. So the first question I would like to ask to Cialo to share with us, what are the gaps in current political system which keeps youth out of formal politics? Cialo, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Georgie. My question was gaps within the current political party systems hindering the youth from meaningful participation. And we have discussed, and let me just mention a few. One, we have non-inclusion of youth from leadership in party organs. For example, the National Executive Council, the National Governing Council. I don't know if you can hear me. Okay,
yes,
thank you. Thank you. So we have non-inclusion of youth in party organs. We have non-autonomous youth leagues. Most of our youth leagues are not able to have their own programs and are only implemented at the leadership positions. We have a lack of ideological political parties. Most of us from our discussion have realized that we have a gap within our political parties, and we need more ideological parties, more green parties, to bring in new ideology and new leadership into the political environment. And then there's discrimination, especially during elections of youth candidates, because of maybe financial constraints, and most of the political leaders are likely to field older candidates because of their financial status. And they thought that maybe they are also more popular than the youth candidates. And then we have political patronage. Political patronage, it will require unrivaled loyalty from the party leadership for a youth leader to be given a position in these political parties. Most of our political parties have their owners, quote unquote, and it becomes challenging for our youth to even get their space into the particular leadership. Those are the few challenges that we have discussed. And if maybe there is anything we can add, that is what we have. Thank you, Georgie.
Thank you. Thank you. And now we could hear the same issue, but from a party perspective. And I would like to ask Lillian now to share breakout room discussion.
Yes, very happy to. And maybe not really surprising, but still interesting. We found that we actually recognized that there is a lot of structural things that are already in place to at least make the gap a bit smaller. So we had parties where the young are represented in either regional or kind of national consultation boards, or have the opportunity to actually consult, or even have spaces in the boards to be part of the discussions at that level. And that there's also kind of, there were also organizations where there was a kind of tradition, an emerging tradition of having people from the youth wing on the electoral lists, or the lists for either election you can think of, and even like we could recognize that they are getting higher in rank, so that they're not reserved on the spots that never get into parliament anyways, but still have like a realistic chance. Nevertheless, we also had some people that were luckily long enough there to have the youth perspective and now kind of merged into the party members, and they were reporting that there's still an issue of not being taken seriously until being in the party for long years and being active enough, whatever active enough means in that context, even that is not clear, but that there's this kind of perception of not being ready that is hindering them from actively participating. And I would just quote something as Aaron said, because I really like that. It would be very, very valuable to shift from having respect for age purely into having respect for the idea the person mentions. And currently in a lot of political discussions, unfortunately, it's the other way around. And maybe this is something I want you to end this presentation with.
Cool. This quote should be noted down. Thank you for the presentation. And now we can move on from the challenges to the incentives. And I would start here with the breakout room I was part of. This is where we ask the general question, what makes us as the young people being active more in the politics? What lessons could be learned in that? And throughout these discussions, a lot of things came up with what has already been mentioned just now, but as a challenge. And here in this case, it was as a tool which overcame this challenge. And first of all was having a Young Greens as a separate structure. Separate and autonomous, but with a linkage to the party. Many people said that it is important to not be seen as an unserious or as an extra addition to the party. And what makes young people more active is to be part of Young Greens, but at the same time see the Young Greens having the power over the party, because it's represented in the executive committees or the national councils or to different party structures where the young voices are ensured and heard. We also came up with the another issue, which is that the party policy, that the party having a youth policy, be that, for example, was mentioned the unemployment policy of the youth. Youth played a role to join the party and to be active in politics. Another thing which has been mentioned is to see young people being elected and the parties opening up themselves to have young Greens in the leadership and in the decision-making bodies, as well as having young Greens contesting in the elections and parties supporting it. And how much does this, seeing young people elected or seeing young people in a parliament or a local council or in a party leadership speaking and seeing them working, how much that increases engagement and trust to the politics. And another with what I could yes, so two more things. One is investing in young people within the party, that young people are valuable for and that parties should include them and invest in them. And the last thing which also touches all of those issues which we also talked about is that having a party democracy, an intra-party democracy, which without which it is barely possible for young people to feel included and heard in the party. So I think this is what has been discussed, and I did not miss anything. And now the same thing we can hear from the party perspective. And Janmejai, the floor is yours.
Yes, thanks, Georgie. So pretty much the same. I think the later points, which is good that we hear from the young people and from the party. So we had a diverse group. We did try to understand the current structure which is there, and is there some specific practice which the parties are using to promote the young Greens more participation to specifically the party politics. So what we found out, it's also like, as we are always seeing the global north and global south, there is it's a bit easier for young Greens in global north to be a part of party politics, or even to be involved in the working groups, or to be in even with the parliamentary working groups, or something, to be associated with at least some kind of party politics, even if not with just the Greens. And on the other hand, it's difficult for young Greens from global south, where the parties, the young Greens, the youth structure for parties are not as strong. And even for the Asia Pacific, it's just the young people in the party below the age of 35, and more or less same for the African region, and we had no one from the Americas. So what we discussed is that although like there are already young people, like when we are talking about Europe, the young Greens are active and they are contesting in elections and they are getting elected as well. We had panel member from Scotland, where we have like member of Scottish Parliament, very young Scottish member of parliaments, and we have seen young member of European parliaments who are young Greens, but that's again not the case with the other regions for the global south. So that's a different perspective that we are getting in terms of global north and global south. So what the party members can do is that what we discussed is like setting up quotas for young Greens to be in the councils, or maybe reserving some tickets or for candidate to help them candidate for elections, not just use them as tokens and using their energy for radical movements or something like that. Another thing is showing trust to young people that they can do something, and providing them that space, and giving them trainings, providing workshops for capacity building, and closing that gap where it's always a debate between experience and being young, where you're not allowed, you're not given the space because apparently you don't have that much of experience. So yes, again, the other thing is to be to like intergenerational dialogue. So like there is a proper transfer of knowledge as well. So like if the main party members have some kind of experience, there should be an intergenerational dialogue. So young Greens also grasp that experience, and it's not a one-way thing. And another thing it would be that the young Greens are not only used should be in the policy making levels, not just be treated as tokens, and also not this approach of the young Greens are the future, or the young people are the future, so they have to decide, they can work on the future. The young people or the young Greens should be also, they are the present as well. So they should also have the right to work it on now, not just leave it for future. So yeah, these were the things that that were discussed. And if I missed something, and like one was also to create platforms and for development for the young Greens, so that they have that space. Yeah, if I missed something, please feel free to add that, and if not, yes, that's it.
Thank you very much for summing up this I think very fruitful discussion. And we have a few more minutes left, and which is, on this issue we could talk more and more hours, but of course our time is limited, and I would like to ask as a conclusion to the speakers of our panel to summarize this, but from a perspective of green idea of youth engagement. Why is this important for us, and how do we as the Greens see youth engagement? And yes, maybe we could start with Lilian, then Cielo, Janmejai, and I will finish. Yes, the floor is yours.
Cool. I feel very, very privileged to start, and probably a lot of things you can add. I think we can agree it is of course crucial to really include young Greens, as we already had in the summarizing and decision making, not only in campaigning and being tokens and looking nicely in the front, for two reasons. The first thing is that they have an interest to shape their own future, and if this is not like we Greens as defining ourselves as participatory and thinking of, okay, everyone should be able to participate and to voice their opinion, who would we be not to like especially include the young people, and especially the young people in our party who are obviously interested. And the other thing is, it is, I think, crucial for if you have like really aiming in change of politics and having really like vision for going forward and not just kind of preserving the status quo. I think it's also crucial to really involve people that are living this future, and that you're not like, also to make sure that you're not just rebuilding the, I don't know, ideas of the, well, this is maybe, I was like intuitively I was picking like the 80s, but this is maybe kind of sensitive for Greens in especially in Europe. So maybe we go like reinventing ideas of the 60s and just like giving it a new shape. This should not be the way you do politics for like really future things. So as I think politics should aim to really shape future and design future, it is crucial to involve the people that will be actually living this future, and that also, of course, have ideas how they are envisioning it, which should and could be different from what we're living in the last 20 years. And I think it's also giving another dynamic to discussions, because the longer you stay in a structure or in a current reality, the more you get settled with it, and maybe it's even terrifying to change it. So if you're not used to it and you maybe see what's not working and where the cracks are, then you're more likely to jump right in there and crack it completely to build something new. And sorry for being so long on this. I could probably, as you already said, talk for hours.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, Janmejai, you can go next, and let's be very brief. I know we could talk a lot on this, but I think we have very few minutes left.
Yes, I'll try to be very brief. Also, I just looking up my notes again, I just missed a very interesting point which was discussed, was to help the young Greens to get organized. So I think that was a very interesting point, to help young Greens to get organized, like not just at local level but at transnational level, which organizations like Global Young Greens, and at regional levels, FIEG, Asia Pacific Young Greens, Africa, all these federations can really do to help young Greens do. Yeah, coming back to this, I really feel like the green understanding to this would be, we would have to support youth, and what we are seeing, like I've been in this transnational structure for around 6 years with Asia Pacific, like more involved with the Asia Pacific region, and also with Global Young Greens, and have observed other regions, is the youth structure has to be like strengthened. What we have seen is like the like apart from like I would feel Europe is exceptions also when we look at the numbers. Also the increase in number of youth being part of politics is not increasing in Europe as well. That's a concern. But if you compare that with other like the global south, the countries of global south, it's very different. When we were also in Glasgow in COP26, we see like hundreds of thousands of people marching for climate movement there. But it's not the case. If you would have a climate movement in if you say even say India or Kenya or some countries of global south, you would not get that much of youth participation there, because the social structure and the political structures are different, which is not allowing youth to be a part of mainstream politics, or forget mainstream politics. It's not even allowing you to be in the field of movement, like youth movement, youth activism. There are several challenges to it. So as Greens, it's I think that's why I mentioned this again, like to help the youth get organized, to bring all these youth movements under one umbrella, because if something is happening here, there can be a whole voice from all the global world to support that youth movement, that something is happening there. So which gives a lot of motivation to specifically the youth to carry on the work they are doing, even after being oppressed by the police or something, which like for 5, 6, 7 years we are seeing a lot. And I can also tell you about from my personal experience, when we are getting charged with the false cases, being put into jail just for protesting or something like that. So this organizing stuff has to be really keep in mind, so that there's a global power to this youth movement and this green movement.
Thank you. Cielo, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Georgie. It's been a good forum. What I would like to say is if the youth want to change the status quo, then we have to take up leadership positions. We have to change the narrative from the specific countries that we come from. We have to have a different discussion on how we would like to change the status quo. And the discussion is, we shall begin conversations from places like this one, like this forum that we've been given by the Green Forum. It is a good forum to discuss how we would like to change the status quo from where we come from. Secondly, I think we would have to fight for autonomy in our various youth leagues, because the moment we are autonomous, then we can make decisions, we can plan and implement various decisions according to our level of leagues where we come from. Let us make sure that all our political parties have active youth leagues, not just youth leagues for the name, but active youth leagues that are implementing and planning and taking leadership positions. Otherwise, it was a pleasure meeting you, all of you. See you soon again. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I would finish with not much to left, but for me, what is, and it has been mentioned during the discussion, what is the main difference between us as the Greens and the other political groups, is that we don't see the youth as just one part of voters or one part of society which would bring us votes or the power or whatever. Some others try to tokenize the youth just as to represent, just to be there, so that they either give off flyers or are a campaign department within a parties. But for the Greens, I think youth engagement is a value in itself, not just as a tool to do something, but as a value, because we as the young people are our future. And in the Greens, I think we believe that the future should have a voice and the power when our future is determined. So I think I would say that is the main difference, that youth engagement and youth involvement in decision making is value for us. And thank you everyone for participating in the discussion. I think it was interesting. And before we say goodbye, I would ask you if we could open your cameras and if we could make a screenshot of our huge panel with many participants. Yes, we see cameras opening, and we can, yes, in just 30 seconds we do the screenshot. Okay.
Also just want to ask everyone, is it all right if we post this screenshot in the Global Young Greens social media? As if someone is not okay with it, you can just write in the chat, or I see no one. Okay.
Is screenshot taken already? If may I know?
I just quickly took 2, so we're all set.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for attending the discussion, and looking forward seeing you sometime in the future, and good luck, and wish you success in your fight for a better and more green future and present. Goodbye.